Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Braddock, your host. Delighted to have you with us this morning. It's a beautiful day, and we're grateful to our sponsors, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy, for being with us and sponsoring this program. Thank you most of all for listening. We're honored to have in studio. You may think that there are only two people running for the U.S. Senate in the great state of Georgia, a celebrity and a former agricultural secretary. However, commissioner, I should say. But there's actually another one. His name is Josh Clark. He's a candidate for U.S. Senate in the great state of Georgia. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
For those who don't know Josh Clark, and I imagine you're not getting a whole lot of publicity out of Atlanta media, let's just introduce to our audience, because I too, this is the first time I've met you, just a little something personally about yourself.
Well, sure. Well, Steve, thank you for having me here this morning. It's great to be in the studio. And as you said, my name is Josh Clark, running for the United States Senate. And a little bit about me, grew up in Suwanee, Georgia, the oldest of 10 children. Is that average around here?
No.
Not really anywhere, but parents just didn't have a TV, and now the joke's on me because I have 6 children. But grew up in Suwanee, Georgia.
I'm going to interrupt. My great-grandfather had 17 kids.
Well, okay, he's
got
his...
3 of them passed, but that was a bunch, so we got you beat.
He's got us beat. He sure does. Well, growing up, just learned American family values, faith in God, hard work, serving others. My mother was a teacher who decided to homeschool us. God bless her, amazing woman, and still is today. And my father was a pastor. And so grew up, though, at an early age learning to serve, and I think it laid a foundation for where I am today running for the United States Senate, because our country's in a crisis, and we need somebody to step up and serve and fight for the next generation. And I learned that growing up. My mother lost her health, so I had to chip in. You can imagine, as the oldest, we had to overcome together. You see that my bus that's in your parking lot, the 45-foot bus on the bottom, it says "Overcome Together." And I learned as a child that every generation of Americans has stepped up to the challenges, and we've got serious challenges facing us. But it started for me as a child and out of high school. A little bit of my story is I got involved right away because I was blessed with a great curriculum. I like to say I wasn't indoctrinated.
Sure.
Well, my mother indoctrinated me, I guess I'd have to say. But with the history, I loved history. And so I learned about our founding fathers, the foundation this country is built upon, the principles that were woven in that's led to the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the freedom that we have today. And so I got involved, rolled up my sleeves, just volunteering while I was building companies that are still around today. In my 20s, I was also helping get constitutional conservatives elected. And so at 30, I ran for office, served 2 terms at the Georgia State Capitol.
Yeah, as a what?
As a state representative, yep. And Steve, how many state reps or senators or politicians do you know who serve and then walk away on their own unopposed?
I can't think of one right now.
Yeah, it's rare, and but I think we need more of that. Public service should be a season,
well,
not a lifetime career.
You're talking about what the founders said. They didn't expect people to become lifetime elected officials.
That's right.
And build a power base.
So
therefore, you actually are not just a candidate who says I'm for term limits. You're actually one that can prove you're for term limits. Is that correct?
That's right. I've walked the walk and walked the talk, and I think that's what brings me into this race is we need somebody who is proven. We can't afford to just roll the dice at a time when I think our country is in a crisis, and we I'm not a celebrity. As you said, people say, "Are you the celebrity in the race?" One look at me to kind of figure that out.
Well, among your family, you are.
Well, you know what? I am blessed with 6 children who are right. They're in this fight with us. They're 5 of my children are on that bus right now.
All right. Well, let's kind of start moving into the. You've got in your website is votejosh.com, and you've got. What you list is 3 primary issues: liberty, budget, and borders. Let's run through those. Liberty first.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I'm sure you feel the same way, and I know many Georgians do as I crisscross the state in this Liberty bus and talking to them about what are they concerned about. And we're concerned about watching our freedom, our liberty slipping out of our hands rapidly. Ronald Reagan, I got a daughter named Reagan, and you can tell I look up to President Reagan. And one of his quotes that has always impacted me since I was a child, and that is, freedom isn't passed in the bloodstream. It's got to be fought for and defended, or else I'll be explaining to my children what it was like when men lived free. I will not do that. Will not explain when they ask me, Dad, did you see what was going on? Yeah, I saw. Did you do anything? Yes, I did. I stepped up. And so, during the COVID pandemic, even that first year, you saw it happening. Even before Trump lost and we lost both U.S. senators, you saw the liberals looking to take advantage of that pandemic to grasp power. I saw my pastor friend out in California being fined millions of dollars. I saw our children being set back an entire generation, if not more, due to the response to COVID. And I just kept thinking about Benjamin Franklin, who said, "Those who exchange their freedom, their short-term security their freedom for short-term security shall have nor deserve neither."
Neither, yes.
And that's what we were doing. And so we got to fight for that.
And Jefferson and Washington echoed that sentiment too. Liberty is really the environment where freedom flourishes, is it not?
Yes.
So that's how you kind of relate the two words. And we see freedom under siege, of course, in Ukraine, and we're going to talk about that after the break. Well, heads and tails, it's back to the days of Jimmy Carter, 7.9% inflation, and we're now $30 trillion in debt. We're breaking new records. How is the budget and inflation affect everyone?
Yeah, well,
and the working class more so.
To me, it comes back to why I'm running. It's for the next generation in this state, this country. When I look at my 6 children again, and I think about what are they going to inherit, when I look at 30 trillion and rapidly growing, to me, it's nothing short of stealing from our children and our children's children. It's like taking a loan out at the bank on their future earnings. Mm-hmm. And when we think about it like that, we'd never do that. But when I served on appropriations in Georgia, and when I serve in the U.S. Senate, when the people of Georgia are gracious to give me the privilege to fight for them, I'm going to be that budget hawk, because we can't sustain this. It's not sustainable. And so when I look at the omnibus bill that passed last week, 2,741 pages, and you look at the increased domestic spending, you look at the increased spending even on congressional offices at a time when we can least afford this, and all these packages, stimulus packages that we've passed. And so that's a top issue for me. I grew up, the poor talked about. Mm-hmm. I learned the difference between needs and wants. And to this day, I will not walk past a penny that I see without picking it up, because we've got to be faithful in the little things. And the reason we're in this mess is we haven't been. Mm-hmm. We've got politicians that have gone up there and forgotten who they work for, and they pass these omnibus bills with all this junk in it that our children have to pay for. Mm-hmm. And we're going to crash before we even get to that point if we continue.
President Trump was often very frequent in saying that a nation without borders is no nation at all. We see that in the southern border now. How do you interpret the Biden administration's approach to the southern border?
Well, to me, it's the number one national risk here. It's a national security risk, having open borders. And then today, we have the number one cause of death from 18 to 45 is not COVID, it's not cancer, heart disease, it is drug overdoses. And that's caused primarily today by our open borders. And sex trafficking is an issue that I fought as a state legislator. I was talking with a guy who runs sting operations down in Central America. He said, Josh, when you have borders that are open, as you guys are doing right now, letting people flood across it, our children are being preyed upon. And so, it's a major issue. We've got, most of that fentanyl is coming from China, our number one enemy. Mm-hmm. They know exactly what they're doing, and we're allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. And yet, we got Biden worried about other people's borders. He even put up a fence around his house. Did you see that? His beach home?
Well, it disturbs me. Fences around the Capitol, fences around the state Capitol. It's just, what have we come to?
Yeah.
Sad thing. Josh Clark, candidate for U.S. Senate. We're going to take a break, come back. We're on Facebook Live if you have any questions or comments. And his website is votejosh.com. We're going to talk about Ukraine, Iran, and much more after these words.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a graduate of Oak Mountain Academy, I've found that my experience on the mountain prepared me beyond all expectations. As a junior at Auburn University, I approached my studies with great confidence thanks to what I learned at OMA. When I think back on my time on the mountain, I think of my teachers. Their genuine love and concern for me as a student was always evident, and now, as an adult, I still foster those relationships. I'm Carly Robinson, an Oak Mountain Academy alum. Visit oakmountain.us to see how you can offer your child an amazing opportunity to be a warrior.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Gradick, your host, and we're delighted. We're throwing the football to Josh Clark this morning, candidate for U.S. Senate. Good morning, sir, and welcome back. We had a little introduction in the first segment. We're on Facebook Live, and there's one thing I want to, obviously we've got to talk about Afghanistan and Ukraine, and we are, but I think there's something. I said when back in November 2020, I said if Biden's elected, gas will go up, the world will become a more dangerous place, and I hope he doesn't get us killed. Yeah. Now, in relation to that, right now we are renegotiating the Iran deal, and Russia's participating. And from what I understand, in 2027, 5 little years from now, Iran will be in the position of having a full-fledged nuclear weapon, and they already have missiles. It seems like to me that is, for our own security, is important, if not much more important, than what's going on in Ukraine. If you're elected, if you defeat Raphael Warnock and you're elected to the U.S. Senate, what will be your position on the Iran deal?
Well, I think the reason we're in this mess is because everything rises and falls on leadership. And unfortunately, we have a man in the White House who is not leading this nation. And he's a laughingstock of the world. We went from strong leadership under President Trump to today we're being taken advantage of. And we're not only being taken advantage of, but people, I woke up last week just think about the fact that everything rises and falls on leadership, and so do people's lives as far as life and death. We got people that are dead today and be killed today simply because of the man who is in the White House, who is not respected. Vladimir Putin is walking all over him. And so I think that Trump did absolutely the right thing in his Middle East and dealings, and the way he broke up the Iran nuclear deal. That was the absolute right thing. We were being taken advantage of. We were being, the fact that inspectors weren't able to get into Iran. They were continuing making progress, and at the same time, they were using our dollars to develop it.
On your mail out, you've got, quote, 4 of my brothers fought for our freedom, and I will not sit by as Biden and Warnock destroy our republic, unquote. What I think I like to think that basically every American was sickened, as I was, about the what happened in Afghanistan. 13 American soldiers killed, 28 seriously injured, and then hundreds more either left behind or injured further. Having your family, your 4 brothers in the armed services, how did that make you feel when we saw that, and how did that embolden Vladimir Putin?
Honestly, it makes me mad. Right here, just sitting here, if you'd ask that, Steve, thank you for asking the question. But as I just think about that, those 4 brothers actually served on the front lines of Afghanistan with bullets flying by them.
Really?
In fact, I have 4 brothers on each side, 13 immediate family members, but 4 brothers on the front lines. And I'll never forget a statement that my brother, when he was 23 years old, David Clark, Representative David Clark, in fact.
What state?
In Georgia.
Really?
He actually represents my old district.
Okay.
And he's a patriot. He's a diehard patriot, Army Ranger, now re-enlisted, and he's away for a season, a few weeks for bad to the bone training right now. Get called up, but he said to me, Josh, when he was over there, he lost his sergeant the second week over there. He was supposed to be in the gunner position, and the sergeant said, "I'm going to take it today," and he was killed. And David said to me something I'll never forget on the phone. He said, "Josh," that's what he said, but he said, "What you're doing is just as important as what I'm doing when I was running for the state House of Representatives." He said, "Because if this country falls from within, then my comrade who lost his life is in vain." And so watching Biden's leadership and the withdrawal, the fiasco, and the 13 service members who were killed makes me angry, because in fact, one brother re-enlisted to go back over and serve again. And so what he's done is not only affected my family, he's affected families across America, but it's also showed weakness this, I believe, is the reason why Vladimir Putin has attacked Ukraine, is watching how we handled that and realizing, hey, we got a commander-in-chief that will allow this to happen, who isn't strong and who doesn't have a good team around him advising him either on the decisions he's making. So it's makes me angry, and that's where it comes back to. And this comes back to this election. We've got to elect a proven conservative, because we got the last one wrong with Biden, and we got to be careful. Even this red wave is coming, but who is it going to sweep up? Who's going to ride that wave, and will they fight for us, or will they be another weak leader in the end who compromises and people get killed?
I want to talk about the political landscape after our next break, but we cannot do the program without mentioning the images and what we're seeing, the devastation. I don't think there's anything more evil than communism and Vladimir Putin. When you see those images, what are your reaction?
Well, I think about a lot of things. And this morning, sitting there watching what's the latest developments and the innocent lives that are being taken. But one thing I think about is America. How do we make sure that we're not in that same situation one day? And I think about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment wasn't about just having guns for deer hunting. I mean, that was a given, right? They provided for their families that way. But the Founding Fathers urged Americans to be armed and ready. Peaceful, loving patriots should be prepared to stand up for their country, their neighbors, their community, their state, and their country. And when I look at the Ukrainians who are begging for arms and ammo just to protect their motherland, it made me think, we must warn Americans, and we must make sure that we're prepared, which is why I'm giving away, Steve, an Anderson AR-15 every week until the election. So they go to votejosh.com/AR-15, and they can help us get the word out so we elect a true conservative, proven conservative. At the same time, they're going to win an Anderson AR-15.
I would assume they have to make somewhat of a donation to...
No, they don't even. And I'd love them to, because we need their help to fuel the Liberty Bus.
Right.
But if they will just help spread the word, like our Facebook page, share it, then together we will win and defeat Biden by taking back the U.S. Senate and stopping him in his tracks. And that's how we make sure that America never ends up in the same situation, that God bless these Ukrainian citizens. But they weren't armed. They weren't prepared. And so I think about that as well. Not only do I think about the leadership that has enabled this to happen, by Biden, and I think about our lack of going from energy independent to energy dependent today. And then this morning, we're reading the latest developments about Biden working to import oil from Venezuela. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to an Uber driver who needs to be advising Biden. He said he watched his father have 20 trucks taken after building a business for 25 years, just come in, sweep in, take it all. And we're going to go make deals with Venezuela and embolden and equip and fill the coffers for an illegitimate leader over there, instead of having energy independence here. And the lies that we're hearing in the press, right, of that excuses for Biden's policies on energy. I mean, we all of us know, Steve, you and I know, and all of Americans, we know what's happening. In just 1 year, we've gone from great fuel prices, right, cheapest fuel prices in decades, to the most expensive ever.
2020,
another record for Biden.
2020 was the first year we were truly energy independent. But just the pattern is the same thing as we saw with the Obama administration. Immediately, almost immediately, the first year, prices went up.
Yeah.
Our guest this morning is Josh Clark, candidate for U.S. Senate. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more. We'll talk a little more about politics when we get back after these words.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy has offered a challenging college preparatory education for 60 years. With over 500 graduates, we have maintained a 100% college acceptance rate. Over 90% of our students earn acceptance to their first choice of college or university, and over the past 5 years, our students have earned over $10 million in scholarship offers. Our students are creating a legacy. Come, be a part of our family and create your own legacy today. To learn more, visit us at oakmountain.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. We're going to carry it over to the finish line or into the end zone in the next few minutes. This won't be a Hail Mary, but it'll still be going for the goal. Anyway, I can't think of any more. By this afternoon, I'll come up with some more. The big question, Mr. Josh Clark, candidate for U.S. Senate. Can you beat can you win the Republican primary, and then can you beat the incumbent? Can you win?
Thank you, Steve, for asking that question. I love it. Absolutely. I believe that Georgians are actually discerning, and you got to realize this is the primary, right? The folks who are going to come out, they are diehard patriots, and they're going to do their homework, and they're probably, many of them like me, Georgia Bulldog fan, grew up with Herschel Walker as a childhood hero of mine. I'd run through the plowed field in our little rented farm in Swanee, and I'd do push-ups pretending I was Herschel. But you know what? And I never got fast and big like him. But you know what? Even though we're excited that he moved back to Georgia. Isn't it great to have him back in Georgia? If I'd have known that this would get him here, we'd all asked him a long time ago to run for U.S. Senate.
He lived in Texas.
Right, come back from Texas. But at the end of the day, though, I believe that Georgians are going to ask themselves, who is going to fight for the next generation? Who is going to stand up for the Constitution? And the reality is that's not, we got a bunch of candidates that are all nice guys, but none of them are proven conservatives. And when I say proven, I've been in the trenches since I was right out of high school helping to get conservatives elected, rolling up my sleeves, not just talk, but action. And we've got one of the candidates in the race, great guy, served our country, Navy SEAL, Latham Sadler, for example, but voted Democrat for multiple elections. You can't call yourself a lifelong Republican. Now, let me say this, Steve. I'm excited to have people coming into our party, and I welcome them, and I've helped convert a bunch of folks who realize, hey, you know what? They stand for the principles we do. But the thing is, when the Senate is not 2 years like Congress, it's not 4 years like the president. This is 6. So, I believe in what we're seeing as we crisscross the entire state of Georgia in the Liberty Bus is folks are saying, you know what? We can't vote for somebody based upon, are they a celebrity, the color of their skin. We need somebody who's going to stand and fight for us. And so that's me, and we're raising the money that we need thanks to, in part, to your listeners' help and a great team of patriots across the state. But we're putting in the work, and 12 years ago, when I ran for the state house, people said, you don't have a chance. I was 30 years old, but I'm proud to tell you we won 70-30 in a landslide. And we're running the same kind of race just on a statewide level. We're reverse engineering the numbers. We're building the team, and we're going to come out and we're going to win this thing. And Herschel's dropped a lot since he first got in. It's an entirely different landscape. And again, not putting him down. You know, I was around him just recently. I appreciate him getting in the race. The more the better. Bring the attention to Georgia because we got to beat Raphael Warnock in November. Problem is, Herschel cannot win in November, and the Democrats are telling me they want him. Mm-hmm. Secretly. That's who they want. They're praying that we'll put a celebrity there with all the baggage in his book. You know, and we all, you know, I'm for redemption and all, but you got to remember, the Democrats aren't. They aren't going to forgive anything. Right. And I don't think any of us want to put Herschel in that spot in November. And so we have to make sure we have somebody who can win, proven conservative, and that's Josh Clark for U.S. Senate.
Well, I mean, you've alluded, I mean, you pretty directly say it. I mean, some say that politics is a blood sport. And if you are the Republican candidate, the general election is going to be incredibly brutal.
It will be. And when you won't debate in the primary, that's another sign you're not ready for November. The primary is where you need to practice. You need the iron sharpens iron, right? And when he's not taking the questions, when he won't debate, it tells you he's not ready. And he needs that. We all are helping each other to be prepared to beat Raphael Warnock in November. And so I appreciate all the candidates in the race. It's making me a stronger candidate. It's helping us get the word out. But in fact, I got a great call. We're getting calls from around the state. Even one of Trump's guys texted me last week and said, we're watching your race. You're climbing while everybody else isn't moving. You're climbing quickly, and all we've got to do is keep Herschel under 50%, and I'll go into a runoff with him. With your listener support.
Well, we're going to run out of time, but let's go out talking about being a United States Senator is incredibly important. And we talk about freedom at the beginning of the program, yes. but not only Supreme Court nominations, judgeships, et cetera, treaties, all the many things the Senate does, but it gives us a separate degree of protection for the Constitution and freedom, yes. Does it not?
It does, and we need somebody, and I keep talking about the Constitution because that's the foundation, and we need somebody who has proven themselves. When I was in the State House, I proved that I have a steel spine, that I will stand on principle, and I remember being tested my first year. You know, everybody says the right things on the campaign stump, but when you get there, will you stand alone if you have to? And, I think about that vote. I'm going to be that one vote that puts us over, gives us control of the Senate. But that one vote's important. Think about John McCain. I appreciate his service, as a POW and all. But when he got to the U.S. Senate, look what happened. He said all the right things on the trail, and then we have Obamacare because of his vote. Right. So this is so important for our children and children's children. And will we retain this republic or will we lose it? And so, Steve, I really have a lot of faith in Georgians. I believe that we're going to look past celebrity status, past color of one's skin, and we're going to ask, who's the proven conservative who will fight for me? And I'll get that job done if you give me the opportunity to fight for you.
How does one get in touch with your campaign?
Please go to votejosh.com and votejosh.com. And don't forget the Anderson AR-15 giveaway every week to help make sure that freedom-loving patriots are equipped and ready to stand up for liberty. So please go to votejosh.com/AR15 and enter into that drawing.
All right. Thank you for coming in, Josh. We're proud to have you in studio. This program's on our Facebook page, and hopefully we'll see you again in the general election.
Yes, sir.
Quite possibly.
We'll see you there.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for listening to the Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. Go out and make it a great day. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.